All right, give me a second. Let it get going live. All right, Joe, you want to kick us off?
All right, Amber. Kobe Calais, you want to count me in?
3, 2.
And here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Joe Cap, and I am co-chair of National Entrepreneurship Week. National Entrepreneurship Week is a congressionally chartered annual event which supports and uplifts America's new business and entrepreneurs. Originally founded in 2006, National Entrepreneurship Week takes place every year during the third week of February. In 2016, Amber and I relaunched National Entrepreneurship Week, and now, all across the United States, from Maui to Miami to Maine to Michigan and Minnesota, and everywhere in between, America's entrepreneurial ecosystems are vibrant and thriving. We are super excited to once again welcome the Department of Energy. We're going to be hearing a lot more about their solar division, but before we do that, I want to go ahead and throw over to Amber to share with us some logistic information. Amber?
Yes, and I should share for Carrie and Jennifer's the reason Joe's adding a bunch of M names is because Tom Campbell on our previous call was like, there's so many more M's, like Montana and Mississippi, that you can add to our little spiel. So Carrie, while you're go ahead and get your slides up, just a few logistics for the folks that are listening in. We want to put anything that's general conversation introductions in the chat function. And if you have questions for our amazing speakers today, please use the Q&A function. It allows us to just keep things a little streamlined. But without further ado, I'll throw it over to the Department of Energy's Solar Energy Technology Office to kick us off.
Great. Thank you so much, Amber and Joe, for that great introduction. And hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer DiStefano. I am a technology advisor to DOE's Solar Office. I'm joined here today by my colleague, Carrie McIntosh, who is a fellow to the DOE Solar Office. And we are members of the commercialization team in the DOE Solar Office. And unlike a lot of other DOE offices, our team almost exclusively funds RD&D in private companies. So we're really excited to share with you today some of the programs we have available for solar innovators. Now, before I dive in, I do need to note that we are both contractors, so we don't formally speak on behalf of the government, but we're looking forward to sharing sort of some general information about our programs that we hope will be useful guidance for you. So before diving into specifics about our program, if we could go to the next slide. Thank you, Carrie. Wanted to share a little bit of information about the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy more broadly. So we are the solar office. We're the first one in the top left there. But within the broader energy efficiency office, there are a number of other applied research funding offices that focus on technologies across renewables, building and industry, and transportation. Now, not all of these offices necessarily offer funding opportunities that are targeted specifically to entrepreneurs or to private companies, but often in these offices, say like your technology maybe isn't solar or it's like on the border of solar and something else, there's often at least opportunities to partner with like an academic partner or a national lab and still participate in government projects that way. So we want to just make sure everyone was aware that these other offices exist and offer their own programs. We're not going to focus on those today, but again, want to make sure that these are here. What we talk about today will be focused on solar, but there are similar programs and that we'll talk about that exist in most of these offices. So generally, your best bet, I'd say, for learning about programs in other offices is to check out their website and subscribe to that office's newsletter. So without further ado then, I want to dive in a little bit on what commercialization is to the DOE Solar Office. So overall, the mission of the Solar Office is to accelerate the advancement and deployment of solar technology, and particularly with a focus on historically underserved and disadvantaged communities to ensure that everyone is receiving the benefits of clean energy. And our commercialization team, specifically within the Solar Office, has a few additional goals. One is bringing products out of the lab and into or closer to the market. So we have programs that are focused on transitioning products out of universities, national labs, and early stage private companies. We also aim to generate domestic value across the solar value chain. So our programs work across a wide range of solar technologies, including a variety of PV technologies or photovoltaic technologies, concentrated solar thermal power, solar racking and tracking, power electronics, grid integration, et cetera. So we really look at a very wide range of technologies within solar. We also aim to increase the domestic manufacturing competitiveness, and then finally develop tools to lower costs and increase deployment. And again, this especially gets back to that goal to ensure that the benefits of solar are accessible to everyone, particularly historically underserved communities. All right, so now I want to dive in a little bit into an overview of the 3 types of funding opportunities that our program offers. And you'll see similar programs in other DOE offices generally as well. And as we walk through these, you can see the arrows we have here. We'll look at different levels and increasing what we call like barrier to entry. And I'll explain a little bit more about what that means as we go. So sort of like step 1 of our programs in terms of dollar amount, size of project, length of project, and difficulty applying are what we call prizes. So our landmark, or I'd say flagship prize in this area is something called Solar Prize. We're going to give you a lot of details on what that is, how to apply, details about the program, et cetera. But in general, prizes are fast programs that offer a low barrier to entry. So pretty straightforward, not particularly lengthy application process. And it makes it easier for people, individuals, small teams, et cetera, to compete for funding, and then you receive a cash prize at the end. The next sort of level of our opportunities is the SBIR STTR program, which I know the Office of Science was here yesterday from DOE, and I'm sure spoke about this program. So I'm not gonna rehash everything they say, but we also work with this program. The Office of Science administers it, and we manage some of the awards related to solar. And this is sort of the second, I'd say, tier of our work where it's slightly larger dollar amounts possible, up to over 1.3 million for an award, depending on if you progress through a series of different phases. And this is targeted to support R&D in small businesses. So there's still no cost share for this type of award. If you aren't familiar with government terminology, cost share is when the recipient of the award, so the company, is asked to put forward a contribution to that project. So there is no cost share for SBIR. But in general, still, there's more requirements in terms of the application, and then also invoices need to be submitted. So sort of a second level in terms of complexity, we would say. And the final type of award that we have available or program is our what we call CEDO Incubator, which is a type of funding opportunity announcement. You might have heard the word FOA before. It's used across DOE and I believe across government. And this is a larger funding opportunity. In our case, the incubator program is targeted towards companies with experience in developing and piloting technology. Cost share is required, so this is what we consider a more complex award. There is more application, it's a longer application, more application requirements, more invoicing and reporting requirements. And the last thing I'd say is some involvement also from DOE technical staff. But then on the sort of flip side is this is our largest available type of award, generally speaking. So if we go to the next slide, I can show you all of this information in a different context. So I know that that is a lot. So that's why we put together this handy chart to help you navigate which funding opportunity might be best for you and your innovation. So probably with folks here largely being individual entrepreneurs or small businesses, you would be looking at the American Made Solar Prize or the SBIR STTR program, potentially incubator as well. And I'll note also, this is a slightly, this graphic is a touch out of date. So we have more recently offered funding opportunities through incubator that have individual awards more than $2 million. It all depends on the specifics of the funding opportunity. So just wanted to call that out. And then obviously large businesses as well might consider applying to the Solar Prize program or incubator. And so now that you have a better understanding of the programs that we offer, I wanted to zoom back out and show you how other DOE offices engage in technology commercialization. So again, we are part of this Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy Office, which is circled here in yellow. And so we normally fund technology readiness level projects from about 3 to 7, with 3 to 5 being more of our R&D focused programs, and 5 to 7 being more those small scale demonstration projects. But we want to make it clear that there are opportunities in DOE through other offices to go all the way up to debt financing, of course, depending on like the status of your technology and your company. So just wanted to show this handy chart to give you the broader context. I know not every DOE office is speaking this week, but again, just want to make it clear that there are a range of sort of commercialization and funding opportunities throughout DOE. All right, so now it's time to dive into some specifics on programs that you may be interested in. So you've seen an overview of our main programs and the type of work that we do. And so now my colleague Carrie is going to provide a deep dive on the programs that are most aligned to entrepreneurs and the innovation ecosystem broadly, so you can learn how to get involved. So of those 3 funding programs that I just mentioned, typically prizes and SBIR are the ones best designed for small businesses and entrepreneurs. So we're going to focus on those today. Again, I know there was a separate session by the Office of Science where they probably discussed the SBIR program. So we'll mostly focus on our prize and then also just briefly touch on SBIR. And then in addition to these 3 funding programs, we also have an innovation network called the American Made Network that supports many of our activities across our portfolio. So this is not a direct funding opportunity, but it's a resource that I think is really helpful and hopefully helpful for you to know about as well. So Carrie's going to also discuss that. Thanks. Over to you, Carrie.
Thanks, Jen. So first off, I want to go over what are prizes. And so prizes, as Jen has described, are a type of funding mechanism where the DOE competitively awards cash prizes to stimulate innovation in basic and applied research, technology development, and prototype development. And there are a lot of benefits to prizes. So the first is there's a low barrier to entry. A lot of other government programs and government funding opportunities are more complex than prizes. There's no cost share requirement. Winners get cash prizes. And winners or competitors also get support from the innovation network that Jen mentioned and that I'll talk about later in this presentation. This is also a really good opportunity for first-time competitors to really understand government program, government funding, and for a like less complex government funding program. So one example of a prize program and one that our office is really proud of is the American Made Solar Prize. So the American Made Solar Prize is a $4 million prize competition for early stage solar entrepreneurs and businesses. And the goal of the American Made Solar Prize is to enable rapid development of innovative solutions by providing resources and support to entrepreneurs as they develop early stage prototypes for industry testing. And to go into a little more detail about the American Made Solar Prize is that this is a three-round competition, the ready, set, and go rounds. And competitors are down selected through each round. So this program runs for about a year. Each phase of the competition is about 4 months. And so there are 20 semifinalists that win $50,000 in cash prizes, 10 finalists that win $100,000 in cash prizes, and then 2 winners that each win $50,000 in cash prizes. And so Solar Prize has been running since 2018. We're currently on round 7. And over $21.7 million in cash has been distributed to winners of over 160 teams. And so Solar Prize has a lot of different elements to it. So it's not just cash prizes, but there are things called vouchers. There's the American Made Network support, the Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Contest, and Power Up. And I'll go through each of these different Solar Prize elements. So Solar Prize vouchers are for teams to pay researchers at national labs to conduct research related to their innovations. And then the American Made Network is a support network for competitors who are competing in prizes. And for the American Made Solar Prize, they help with business support, maybe technical support as well. The Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Contest is where competitors have the option to compete in this JEDI contest, and it provides additional cash to these JEDI contest winners. So the competitors will show how their solution addresses solar market barriers to adoption and deployment in underserved communities. And so these competitors throughout the competition work to meet their JEDI goals as they progress throughout this competition. And then this year we have the Power Up contest, and this is a new contest that's part of Solar Prize. And this contest was designed to support and advance new and diverse teams that have compelling applications, but who weren't selected as ready contest winners. And so Power Up winners split a cash prize of $100,000 and received tailored business support over the course of about 4 months. And how do you get involved in Solar Prize? There are a lot of different avenues to get involved in Solar Prize. So for entrepreneurs, the current round of Solar Prize is closed to new applicants, but we encourage people to check out open prizes from other offices and follow the CEDO newsletter as well. For educators and supporting organizations, we encourage you to join the American Made Network to support Solar Prize competitors along with other prize competitors. And finally, for everyone and anyone, we encourage you to join us at RE Plus this September for the Solar Prize Grand Finale. Winners will announce winners there, and there will also be a pitch competition for Solar Prize competitors. So please scan the QR codes below to find out about more information about how you can get involved in Solar Prize. So we've mentioned the American Made Network and how it supports Solar Prize and other prize competitors. And the American Made Network is a network of organizations which provides support to prize competitors. This could be legal support, business, technical validation, or other types of support to prize competitors to further technology maturation and commercialization. And this is really designed to help our competitors get that vital non-cash support that they need and to give them access to a wider range of organizations than they would without competing in prizes. And so some of the types of support that the network can provide, or the organizations within the network can provide, are technical support, teaming, business development, application education, mentoring, and prize recruitment. And the American Made Network doesn't just support prizes, it supports awardees, or it supports applicants across CEDO's portfolio. So for prizes, the American Made Network is involved in giving them application education and ongoing business and technical support. While for our SBIR and funding opportunity announcements, the American Made Network and the organizations within the American Made Network provide application education. And so there are a lot of different types of organizations within the American Made Network. There are incubators, engineering service companies, accelerators, national labs, universities, consultants, and nonprofits. And we have a diverse selection of organizations from across the country. In fact, organizations from every state are a part of the American Made Network. And here are some logos of some of the organizations that are part of the American Made Network. Although this is not an extensive list of organizations, as we have over 250 organizations that are part of the American Made Network who are eager to provide support to prize competitors and funding applicants. If you want to get involved with the American Made Network, if you're an entrepreneur, participate in a prize competition, or visit the American Made Network website to learn more about the resources provided by companies in our network. If you're an educator or a support organization, we're always looking for people to join the network and organizations to join the network. So here's a QR code that has information on how you can join the network. And for everyone else, visit the American Made Network website to learn more about the American Made Network and subscribe to the CETO newsletter to learn more about American Made Network events and opportunities. And with that, we'll transition to SBIR and STTR. So SBIR is the Small Business Innovation Research Program, and STTR is the Small Business Technology Transfer Program. And as Jen said, we're only going to touch on this as the Office of Science has already spoken this week, but this program is really intended to help small businesses conduct research and development. And it's administered by the Office of Science, but solar awards are managed by the Solar Office. And if you want to learn more, then please visit the link below. They have a great website that details a lot more about SBIR if you're interested in learning more. And with that, we really encourage everyone to subscribe to the CETO newsletter. This will highlight key activities, events, and funding opportunities and publications, everything that our office really has going on. We also encourage you to visit the EERE funding, the EERE website to learn more about upcoming funding opportunities. And with that, we really want to thank you for letting us speak today. And my colleagues, Jen and Paul and I are happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Well, first of all, thank you for such a thorough and in-depth conversation today. You know, it strikes me as, and I don't know whether it was last year, but one of the things I love about you guys is the fact that you guys use the prize structure really uniquely in a way that so many other agencies, the prize structure of funding was a recent development in funding structure for the federal government. I don't remember when it was launched, maybe 7 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, maybe less. I don't remember exactly, but it was devised in order to do exactly what you guys described, which is create a greater openness with less barriers for people to go ahead and bring creative new ideas and innovations to the table that people who don't necessarily have resources or all the abilities to go ahead and complete lengthy grants can create a prize or participate in a prize competition, then allow them to get some initial funding to really, either seed their idea or take it to the next level. And so I really want to thank you guys because, Amber, I think this is the first time that we've had on this year for National Entrepreneurship Week that we've had anybody really identify the prize structure as an important part of their way to go ahead and do outreach.
Yeah, I know they touched on it a little bit last year, but this one has definitely been a much more elaborate look at that specific prize angle, which I think is really important.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I'm curious. The one piece that, and maybe you have a response to this, is that once somebody's gone through and maybe they've kind of almost like laddered up to these various, what opportunities are there from a contracting perspective? I think unlike perhaps some other agencies they don't necessarily do contracting in the same way. you guys actually might be looking for specific technologies in order to go ahead and utilize in a number of different ways. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily appropriate for the solar for CETO, but I do know, for example, in the monitoring of nuclear facilities and other parts of the Department of Energy. I'm just curious if you guys have any familiarity or anything you can weigh in with regards to just on the contracting side, because it is its own animal for entrepreneurs to really consider. Any thoughts on that?
Can I just ask to clarify for a second? In terms of contract, you mean us contracting a particular, prior awardee or so forth?
Yeah, just in terms of like, you guys identified, a particular technology that you guys might need or you might be considering. And I'm just throwing this out there, Paul, as we have the opportunity or entrepreneurs have the opportunity to hear this, some agencies don't have any real contracting capabilities. Securities and Exchange Commission, nobody's really going to go ahead, in very limited regard from a Securities and Exchange Commission. But I think, and this is merely conjecture, and you could say, hey, Joe, you don't know what you're talking about. And that is probably very likely. But I think you guys, in addition, is that there's an opportunity as you guys manage and have oversight of America's infrastructure for energy, not just the solar division, but more broadly, that there may be some opportunities for a contracting, because the United States government's one of the largest purchasers. So I'm just curious if you have any insights on that.
Within CETO, we don't do procurement at any level. We're shepherding people to commercialization. We're trying to give these funds out in order to help them develop an idea, develop a prototype, and sort of move them into the next stage. We have the American Made Network to help support those people and to make connections and networks and help get those people contracted on the way out. But we facilitate those conversations. We don't actually do any purchases ourselves.
Yeah. So that's an interesting piece, Amber, that I think that next year we can maybe dive into a little bit more on the procurement side of things, because there is a lot of interest and there can be a lot of interest from people who want to go ahead and obtain contracts from the government. Paul, that's actually really helpful. The other piece that you just touched on and has really been a theme throughout the course of this week is really this idea of partnerships, both formal and informal, and more specifically on the networking side of things. In fact, we heard this morning from the Securities and Exchange Commission, and one of the things that Amy Reischauer talked about was, in order to go ahead and go after funding, the importance of creating a broad network. When I teach entrepreneurship to students, I talk about your network is your net worth. Can you just talk a little bit more about the benefit of sort of the networking program that you have? Because that is, I think, an intangible benefit that has the ability to go ahead and be very helpful for a lot of people, for this network to be able to tie in with other businesses who maybe have gone through the process or potentially have the ability to be either a purchaser or a supplier to some of the folks who might be participating in some of these programs. Just talk a little bit more about that, because it doesn't get the attention that it deserves.
Yeah, so with this, I'll talk a little bit about how the American Made Network facilitates networking.
Yeah, that'd be great,
and
Carrie.
how they can provide support. Yeah, so the American Made Network is this, big network of so many organizations that are interested in helping early stage entrepreneurs. There are, like I said, incubators, accelerators, and all different types of organizations that provide services to our prize competitors and to funding applicants as well. And so these organizations, they can provide business support. Like I said, teaming support. Maybe a team is really one of our prize teams, at least like one of our competitors. Maybe they're missing an aspect of maybe they want to partner with someone, but they don't know who to partner with. They don't know how to go about finding someone to partner with. And so the American Made Network really is an organization or is a network where these people can look on our website, see if there's anyone that fits their needs that they can either partner with or utilize. And yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for prize competitors to really expand both their network and be involved in something that can really benefit them. I'd say there's also opportunities for alumni of prize alumni to stay involved within the network and meet other prize competitors. So really just creating those bonds and getting people to interact with each other is one of the main goals of our network.
Well,
And
that's
I would
great.
add, oh, sorry, go ahead, Joe.
No,
Okay.
Jennifer, go ahead, Jennifer.
I would say, I think one of the other really impactful elements of the network is not just the sort of like the access to all of these, what we call connectors, so folks in the network, but also the mechanisms that we have in place to help guide people through the network. And I think one of those big ones is this group of people that we call power connectors. And they are organizations that are under contract to, or historically have been under contract to work with Solar Prize competitors, for example, at the application stage, help them understand application requirements and such. And then once competitors for Solar Prize get to the semifinalists and the finalist level, there's a group of power connectors that has historically sort of stayed with those competitors to help provide, say like business support, mentorship, etc. And they can also serve as a resource if, say, a team, needs contract manufacturing. Those power connectors can help guide them to a contract manufacturer within the network. Because they've worked with the program for so long, they have a sense of who is within the network. And then this is sort of you see how the cycle goes then. We also have built into the Solar Prize program what we call recognition rewards, where if someone works with a connector organization and advances to the next level for Solar Prize, then that connector gets a cash prize as well of varying levels depending on which stage it's at, to incentivize our connector network to be very active and engaged and work with those teams as they progress throughout the prize program.
That's a great, listen, you guys have a very innovative program. It's really interesting to see that. And to the people who are listening, the entrepreneurs and stuff like that, also access to technology. Amber and I had a conversation yesterday with the federal labs. And one of the things that they talked about was their access to various resources, but specifically technology, right? And so I suspect, and I don't know this for sure, but I suspect that one of the things that a lot of these partners may have, especially if they're universities, they probably have access to quite a bit of equipment, so that people who are competing within the prize, competition, and really thinking about taking their business to the next level, utilizing that network, not only to go ahead and help build their business, but to potentially also gain access to various pieces of equipment that might help them test, validate the business ideas. I imagine that because that can be, hundreds of thousands of dollars in some cases, and it can save a lot of money and time and effort, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is certainly a big use of the network. And I think also the vouchers that we provide for national lab work through the prize is one of like the biggest draws to the prize for some
Can you
folks.
say more about that? Because that is the first time we've heard about this. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, so the vouchers are offered sort of with the prize at the finalist and the winner level. So if you become a finalist in the Solar Prize, or if you win the Solar Prize, not only do you receive that cash award, but you also receive a voucher to conduct work at a national lab. And so historically, we've heard great feedback from the prize competitors that not only does this give them ready access to these testing and validation facilities or further research if that's the direction they want to go, but also working with the national lab and the experts there is really helpful to get sort of that expert input on their technology. So Carrie, I'm not sure if there's anything else you would add about vouchers, but I think that is one of the more exciting elements of Solar Prize for our competitors.
Yeah, that is a hidden gem. I don't know. I don't recall hearing about the voucher program as a part of it last year. Amber, I don't know if you recall that at all.
No, I don't. And it's so interesting. We had the Federal Labs Consortium on yesterday, and I think that's it's just an interesting connection. I've been sitting here geeking over this American Aid. I've been scouring this. It's so interesting. you can go in and you can look at the individual partners and it has their specific capabilities. And then it also has like their technology readiness. This is a gem of a resource.
Yeah, it
That would
really
make
is.
that like we often hear that folks in this space are intimidated to approach the federal government because it seems inaccessible to them. And this, I mean, I'm going to put this in the resource repository, this particular website, because it's user friendly and I'm learning a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm not ignoring anybody. I'm just going to see if I can randomly come up with a solar tech energy at this point.
So
I
just
believe I
one.
could.
So,
And
go ahead.
we've really tried to make it so that these early stage entrepreneurs who compete in prizes, they get more than just cash prizes. Like, I
Yeah.
think that that's something like business support is really, really
Huge.
important. Like you said, Joe, like networking is really important. And so one thing that we've really been trying to do also is get people together in person, because that's where the best networking happens. And like
Absolutely.
providing that support. So
That's
what
right.
we've been doing is last year we had our American Made Network Innovation Summit, where we brought together over 100 different people who are part of the American Made Network. These were support organizations like power connectors, prize competitors, prize alumni, to really create those connections, think about how we could make the network better. And we're actually continuing that this year with having several regional events over the course of the year in different regions, so that people all over the country can participate in the American Made Network. And I really encourage everyone who's listening to this call to check out those regional events to learn more about the network and learn how they can get involved. And we also brought in investors to these events so that we can show off the great work that our prize competitors have
Wow,
been
you
doing.
guys have an amazing ecosystem there. I mean, and we've known about it in the past, but I want to applaud you because it really, you've brought together and solves a number of challenges that the entrepreneurs oftentimes face in any areas, but in particularly where it's could be, focused with a lot of scientific people who don't necessarily understand how to navigate the ins and the outs of entrepreneurship or networking and or those sorts of things. And just kudos to you. I mean, your comprehensive network, frankly, it's probably something that a number of different agencies, you can quote Amber on this because I'd rather her get in trouble than me, but it's probably something that a number of other agencies could go ahead and really learn from, creating a sort of a comprehensive ecosystem that allows from the entire value chain from start to really building a business. Congratulations. This is really, really awesome. A quick question about the vouchers. So I go ahead and I won my prize. I got a voucher. I take my my golden ticket, right? Charlie and the Chocolate. I take my golden ticket. I go to
That's
Lawrence.
exactly it.
Go to Lawrence Livermore Labs and I say, I want to use your flux capacitor, right? Very technical here. I got that. I want to use the flux capacitor. How does that work? That voucher work? What does it, what, just out of curiosity, what does it allow for?
Yeah, so it's a set dollar limit. And so normally the way the process works is actually before you win that next stage that would give you a voucher, you engage with the national labs. So we have a team of folks at the national labs. The Solar Prize is administered through NREL, the National Renewable Energy Laboratory. And there's a team of folks there that will help match you based on your idea, what you want to use your voucher for. Say, again, it's like to test something or use a flux capacitor. They will help you identify the appropriate scientist within the national lab network. And so you're not like on your own trying to figure out like, who do I talk to? There's so many labs and so many different testing capabilities. They have a webinar where they will bring in some of the labs to talk about what are their capabilities, what might people be interested in. And then based on that, will help match those competitors to a potential researcher at a national lab. And then they work together to put together a short like proposal for what that voucher project might be.
Yep.
Exactly. And then that goes into the application for their next round. So if they get awarded the next round, they're ready to hit the ground running. It's just a matter of like getting the funds transferred to the right place. Everything from like a scope perspective is in place and they are ready to go off and execute on that voucher immediately.
That's amazing. You know, having worked in West Virginia and working with Tina, who's not on this call today, we've done a little bit of work around sustainable aviation fuels, and in particular looking at waste, woody waste, like wood waste, as well as chicken manure and those types of things to create different sustainable aviation fuels. And I know that the Department of Energy, along with the FAA, are really interested in those types of renewables, similar to the solar programs that you guys have. So for anybody who's listening, you know, the green economy, green technology is continuing to grow and thrive. And the Department of Energy and CITO is a great place to go ahead. I mean, you can hear just from this, from our conversation here, just the array of resources that from idea, from inception to invention, really. Wow, let's market that. From inception to invention. What a wonderful way
Why
to go.
haven't we thought of that sooner?
This is what he gets paid the big bucks for.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, that volunteer time.
That volunteer time.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I just congratulations to you guys, because your program is so comprehensive, and just the way that you know, these pieces come together. It's so exciting for Amber and I as entrepreneurial spirits, her as a more of an educator, and me as an entrepreneur, to hear how you guys have brought everybody together. Amber, I know that we have just a couple minutes left here. I wanted to see if you had any additional questions, and if not, we can say thank you to our friends.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, if you wanted to summarize just for somebody that is new to this space, like any final tips or strategies, I think that we've kind of asked folks to wrap up with that. But I mean, I could spend all day looking at this and I know nothing about any of this stuff. So I've been distracted. I'm admittedly looking at everything. Is any final advice for anybody interested in looking into this space, and what would you recommend? A big thing here is we're trying to make it not seem so scary to approach the federal government. So how can folks approach you all?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say first thing, sort of like Carrie said, is finding the office, whether it's the solar office or maybe some other office within DOE that is the right fit for your technology or your idea or your company type, and then explore their website, get on their newsletter. That's how you'll find out about funding opportunities. If you are a solar innovator in particular, I would encourage you to check out our prize program, check out the SBIR program, see, you know, what specifics of those might match well with your idea and what you're working on. And then also, as a competitor or an applicant to those programs, you know, utilize all of the resources available. If there is application education available through our network, you know, make sure you attend that. Go to the info webinars that talk about the specifics of that funding opportunity. Make sure you read the funding opportunity carefully as well. I'd say, if that's, whether that's a prize rules document or a formal like funding opportunity announcement, we go to great lengths to write those in very specific detail, so that you know what we're looking for. And that, again, will change based on the program and the year. But I'd say read that carefully. Those words are carefully chosen to help guide you in terms of how you'll be evaluated and what the goals of the program are and such. I think that's my main advice. Carrie, Paul, anything you would add to that?
The only thing that I might add for those who are trying to figure out whether or not their technology really orients with the office that they've selected is that the offices have an exchange website, which will show you all current and past FOA opportunities. This mostly pertains not so much to the prizes, but to funding opportunity announcements. And then, of course, you can go to the National Science Foundation and look for the SBIRs. But you can look into what the wording and the topics of interest, areas specifically not of interest within those FOAs. Will help you zone in on, you know, does my technology apply here? Have they funded this before? Are they currently funding it? That way you can really orient yourself which office you're looking for. The newsletters are great. Also, you can check out, you know, LinkedIn and a couple other of our social media sites to see what people are posting about when these opportunities become available.
Yeah, and the
great.
final thing I would just say is don't be afraid to reach out to staff. You know, we want to be transparent in what our programs are, and we'll I know our team, at least, I don't want to speak for the entirety of DOE, but our team is happy to meet with folks. In this case, I might just show you sort of the same presentation, so I'm not sure that there's really more to say there. But in general, if you're not sure like how to navigate different programs and such, I encourage you to reach out and someone will answer your question there as well.
Well, there's no doubt that everybody that Amber and I are fortunate enough to have the opportunity to come across within the federal government supports and recognizes the importance of America's entrepreneurs and the programs that you guys have. Thank you guys for just a wealth of information. Fantastic resources. We really appreciate you guys joining us today. When we originally got on, I was talking to Amber beforehand. I'm like, we had the Department of Energy yesterday. She said, "Don't worry, this is going to be a lot of additional information," which is just fantastic. And she was absolutely right. So thank you guys for your willingness to join us today. We appreciate it. Amber, we'll go ahead and put this out on the website for additional distribution.
Yep,
And
we'll
yep.
Yeah, Eric made challenges on there as well.
What's that?
We'll link the network website as well in our resource compass.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Carrie, Paul, Jennifer, thank you so much. Amber, want to count us out? 3, 2, any logistics?
Just final one will take place today at 3 with the Department of Homeland Security. So hope to see you there. We'll have a little break here from 2 to 3 to grab lunch, check all your emails that you've missed because you've attended 12 federal agency office hours with us. So yep, we'll see everyone.
I will Kobe Kale us out in 3,
Okay.
2, 1.